Because imagine going to heaven and having everything you want all the time. It would get boring.
You're just like walking around heaven one day and you're like, hey Jerry, we've been hanging out for however this insequential amount of time is because time doesn't exist where we are, but I think I'm all f*** around and reincarnate.
I think we're gonna create this ball of physical something, and when we go there, we're just gonna forget everything. So we have to just start over and figure it all out again. Wouldn't that be a really good joke? And let's do this thing where we split our energy, and we'll call it like a twin flame or something. And we'll just put us on the earth somewhere. And when we meet this guy, we'll be so confused because it would be literally us, but we won't be able to deal with us because we have too much trauma because we don't remember anything.
It's like,
wouldn't that be fun?
Hi everyone, I'm Liv.
And I'm Em.
And we're your Meta Psyckicks. Today we're going to be talking about heaven and hell because my views on it are very different than Em's because I'm a psychic medium and she was raised, what religion? Catholic. So as a psychic medium and talking to spirits that have passed on, I do know that there is a heaven. A lot of people ask. It's funny because when Em and I first started doing this whole shebang shaboodle of business stuff, I was really nervous to talk to my dad about it because since I knew that I was a medium at age 8, he kind of was off-put by the whole thing. That wasn't the case, and I want to say it was probably a week after we put our first video out, my dad came shuffling into the kitchen while I was making dinner after work, and he's like his toe was in the sand. He's like, so I have a question. And he looks at me and he goes, is heaven real? And I was like, Daddy-o, yes, it's real. So then I was talking to him about when people pass on, they are in heaven. Whatever you call it, depending on your religion, I just know that people call it heaven. I call it spirit, which is just the place where souls exist once they're spirits. In my mind, we've already talked about how there's a door, and my blue man dude stands in front of the door, but when you open the door, it's just white on the other side of it, whereas the room where spirits come in is just a dark room in my mind. So I want to say behind the other side of the door is heaven, or for me, spirit.
So then where are your spirit guides?
My spirit guides are on the other side of the door in my mind because they follow
so they're not
me.
in heaven?
Well, they're spirit guides, so I don't think that they're necessarily souls of people. They are just...
Oh, so you only think human souls go to heaven?
Well, no, not human souls. There's animal souls too. I want to say all of the earthly souls go to stand behind my door. But then that gets into the topic of like different dimensions.
Extraterrestrial people, that's not dimensions.
Well, the spirit world is a different dimension, right? It like runs parallel, but also its own world.
But like, what about the entities that live on different planets?
I don't talk to different. I have never.
But you
talked
can
to aliens. So I want to say it was one time when we were at a psychic fair that my mom was speaking to this woman, and this woman's mother came in. She was she was a housewife. She didn't get to do all the stuff that she wanted to because she was taking care of her husband, taking care of her kids, the finances, the house, all of that stuff. So she basically asked at the end of the reading, I want to know if my mother like is okay in what she's doing. And this woman showed my mom that she travels the world now as a spirit.
Oh.
Because she never got to travel the world while she was alive. So in her spirit form, she was showing my mom how she goes to Egypt and she watches the bazaars where they do trading and bartering and all this other stuff. And she goes on cruise ships in different countries and loves to watch people and look and learn things. And that's what she does as a spirit. Everything that we have in the physical world, they can have in the spirit world as well, because when they die, the way that they see things is like from up here. So they can still come back here and travel and look at things, but there's no physical boundaries that they have to cross anymore because they're just there if they want to be. So that's what she's doing in the afterlife in heaven.
Yeah.
As well as talking to people. One of the past readings that I gave, another person asked me, a daughter, about her mother, if she was okay because her mother passed suddenly, and she's like, I just want to know that my mom is okay and like what is she doing. She has like friends that she's already made up in heaven that she talks to. They like have like tea and play cards.
Interesting.
And she hangs out with the dog that they used to have too, and there's a park in the physical world that they used to visit with the dog and with the family, and she goes there with the dog now and hangs around when her physical family goes there too. They can talk to people up in heaven, and they have their own dynamics and personal things that they can and want to do that they can do, but they can also come back here and do everything that they wanted to do as well.
Yeah. So I first want to talk about alternate dimensions, because obviously I believe you go into a different dimension when you die. To describe dimensions, the best way to do it is if you have a piece of paper. A piece of paper is two-dimensional. So you have a width and a height, and that makes it two-dimensional. So we're three-dimensional beings. We have width, height, and depth. And because we have depth, we have the ability to step back and see everything on the piece of paper. But the piece of paper, because it's not on our plane of existence, is not aware of us.
So like a drawing on a piece of paper, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you were a two-dimensional being, and you were on this piece of paper.
Oh, can I be a stick figure on that piece of paper? Like,
you are only aware of me if I am on your plane of existence, but you can only see one dimension of me because you're a two-dimensional being, so you can only see in one dimension. But me, as a three-dimensional being, I can see your entire world because I can step back because I have another dimension.
To look at the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that relates to us and the spirit realm. So we're three-dimensional beings, and the spirit realm is a fourth-dimensional place. So that's why you can see spirits here, because if they're on the same plane of existence, we can see kind of their, two dimensions? And that's why you see spirits a little bit weird when they are in our plane of existence.
Are at like haunted places, and they're like, I saw the weird lady that haunts this building. That's because the weird lady took the time to put herself in our three-dimensional world so that we could see it. But from the fourth dimension, like I said, when people pass on, they can see everything that's here.
Yes.
Even if they're not physically here, because
they have another dimension, so they can step back.
We are the stick figures on the paper.
Yes. So
no!
they can see our entire three-dimensional world because they have a fourth dimension and can take a step back.
Okay, so Emily says that separation is an illusion.
It is!
Which is, I'm like 100% on board with this. It blew my mind when she said that, and I've been like having a hard time grasping the concepts of it because there's so many different ways to look at it. When you die, you lose all of your physical abilities. So you don't, like, we have touch, taste, hear, sense, smell, things like that. It's not that you can't touch, taste, hear, or smell things on the other side. It's just that those abilities aren't important anymore to you understand your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
So when you die, you gain the ability to know, hear, see, and feel everything, which is parts of the things that I use to communicate with spirits as a medium. I know, hear, see, and feel things because they give me that information. In religion, they're like, you can pray to people, whether it's God or your grandma that passed away, and they can hear you because when you die, you hear, see, feel, and know everything. So you don't physically have to be somewhere to be able to talk to somebody, because if you put your intention out, they know about it.
Yes.
It's the same way when you talk to your spirit guides. Just because they're not physically there, they can still hear you because their interpretation of information and the way that they receive things is completely different than ours. The physical barrier isn't there. The whole thing about how there is no separation, I want to tell you that I don't believe that a hell exists. So when I said at the beginning of this video, we're going to talk about heaven and hell, you kind of have to talk about them in the same area, because separation, like Em said, doesn't exist, but also hell doesn't exist. So from being a medium and listening to my mom's stories, going to psychic fairs and things like that with her, because she would do readings, but I would also get my own form of the information while she was talking to somebody. We talked to somebody where their family member committed suicide. And in a lot of religions, suicide is...
It's a sin. It's a disrespect of life.
So the person that we were talking to came from a religious family, and they basically wanted to know if their family member was okay and if they were in hell or in heaven. And my mom said, well, I'm talking to them. They're not in hell, and I don't believe in hell, and this is why. The way the spirit explained it to her was, when you die, you have like what my mom likes to call schooling. You sit in a classroom almost
Like
thing.
a purgatory. You essentially go to a place with your guides and you go over your life and you get your memories back of your past lives and all of that, and you like decide what you're gonna do from there based on your experience on Earth.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it purgatory because I feel like purgatory is a very derogatory term. It's not.
Purgatory is the place in between heaven and hell. I'm trying to relate it to religion.
He was free to move about the way he wanted to, but before, like when you die, you meet with your spirit guides or the people that come to help you cross over, and they replay everything that you did in your life, what you did right, what you could have done, other things. I mean, again, there's no right or wrong. It's just what you did in your life, and basically
you evaluate karma, like the karma that you've lived through and what you still have to get rid of.
If you choose to reincarnate or if you choose to hang out and like travel the world like the other lady did. So the man committed suicide for his own reasons. It's not good or bad. It just is a part of life, and it happens, and it's unfortunate for the people involved and around it. But the way he explained it to my mom, the spirit did, was you're not reprimanded for it, but it definitely is not something that is like approved. It is something that they recognize is your choice, because as a human person or physical being, you have the choice to end your life if you want to. That is your free will, and nobody's going to do anything about it. But it is sort of frowned upon. But they don't judge you for it, if that makes any sense. There's no judgment towards it, because when you're in the spirit world, feelings and emotions are interpreted differently, and it's
like
not
it's more
the same.
On you. It's if you accept it or not.
Yeah, but it's, I guess what I'm saying is it's not deemed good, but it's not deemed bad. It's just
like karma.
It just is what it is,
It's
basically.
how you deal with what the universe gives back to you, because it has to balance itself. So when you do something really terrible, karma has to get given to you so that you can balance yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why with committing suicide, you have to go through all of these like really hard things, because doing that is really hard. So essentially what you're doing is you're putting negative energy into the universe, and when you die, the universe is giving it back to you. Manifestation. Is that not what you're saying?
Kind of, but
you feel the emotions of the universe.
Yes.
To which you caused, aka karma.
Yes. So what he basically said was, now that he's in the spirit world and he knows, sees, hears, and feels everything, because that's what you gain when you die, he knows, hears, feels, sees, and understands the pain that he caused to the people that were close to him and loved him. And now, until those people either accept what he did as it's what he did and it was his choice and there's nothing I can do about it until we meet again, if that's what they believe, or they continue to have those emotions for the rest of their life, he has to deal with the emotions that he caused. In conclusion, separation is an illusion. Heaven does exist. Hell does not exist.
I don't think either exist. I also believe in alternate dimensions, but then you could save that for the podcast.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Oh, I said I was going to say something in the podcast, and I don't remember what it was. I'll remember. Tune into our podcast.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in a reading by Olivia the Medium, check out our website. What are we doing next week? Oh, her mom's coming in and she's going to tell us more stories. Her mom used to work in it, so she has more stories than Liv.
Yeah,
and
she's older than me.
Well, yeah, but she also, like, embraced her mediumship, so she's talked to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
So she's gonna share some stories with us. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell so you do not miss our next Paranormal Stories of a Medium video. However, while you guys wait, check out these videos next, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Wait, are you Meta Psyckicks?
Are you the game maker of Matrix?
No.
No.
I just play the game as the medium.
You play the game and you know the answers at the end at the back of the book?
Everybody knows the answers at the back of the book once they die. I don't know all the answers right now.
Because we're not in the Matrix anymore.
Yeah.
Earth is just a big video game.